feel like we should be. You always should do is Night at the Roxbury. Like,
oh yeah.
Sometimes I hear that song, I just got to start getting pumped up about it. I'm like, I'm waiting for it just like to just really kick in and go jamming. But
do you know who wrote that movie? A chiropractor wrote that. Like they were trying to get people. They thought they'd hurt their necks. They wrote that whole skit.
Oh wow!
Somebody must have hurt themselves doing that. That was such a dad joke, dude. Do I get fired?
Yeah, you don't get fired. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, your place for unfiltered conversations. This is the Unfiltered Experience with myself, Christopher Rausch, and
Scott Goyette.
Scott Goyette. And Mr. Goyette, you are traveling this week. You are coming to us from a different location, I see.
I am. I'm actually in an office, my sister and brother-in-law's office. And so I'm here in Peabody, Massachusetts. It's Peabody to the rest of the world, but if you live in Peabody, it's Peabody, and it's just north of Boston. It's puberty. I'm in puberty right now. I'm right in the middle of puberty. It's a weird time for me right now. If my voice cracks, just let it slide.
All 6'6" of you, right?
Yeah. Puberty mass right here, right up in the middle of puberty.
Right in the middle of puberty. Well, it's another beautiful week. We've got Monique. Monique's in the house. What's up, Monique? Good to see you here. Thank you so much for posting. Thanks you so much for being here. Got Darlene in the house saying, go love now. Yes, we should all be going and loving now. Yes, my friend. And Glenda's right, is in the house too. She's in the Unfiltered family. She says, hey, y'all. What's up, Glenda? Good to see you from the 75 Hard Unstoppables. 75 Hard, baby. Today is 25. Can you tell that I'm jazzed? Can you tell I'm pumped? Can you see a little bit difference than you saw me back before June 1st? Besides my...
Yes, I can. At first, I was all fuzzy. Now I totally do. No, I can see the difference. You know, the coolest thing when you start getting healthier and you're doing the right things is that your skin and it's vibrant and you literally look more alive. I'll be honest with you. We've been eating so much junk and like eating all the things I used to eat as a kid in the Boston area. So I've been doing the anti 75. What is it? 75 hard. I've been doing the anti for the last few days.
You've been doing the 75 soft.
I've been doing the 75 soft.
Hey, man.
Gonna come back.
I would be.
But it's so much fun. It's so much fun going back home and eating all the foods and drinking all the drinks and yeah. So 75 soft right here, and I'm in the middle of puberty.
Damn, that's a weird combination. That's a weird combination. Nah, man, I'm feeling good. I was sitting there doing the tally. So today is day 25. So I've already done my workout. So I've done 50 workouts. I've drank 25 gallons of water. I've read way over 250 pages in a personal development book. I've taken 25 snapshots of me and my wonderful gut. Yeah, it's been pretty cool. And leading a group of people on Facebook and watching their transformation and their growth, it's absolutely amazing. It just lends to what we do, Scott. It just in going out there in the world and making the world a better place and setting the example for what it is that people can do and aspire to be. I've had so many people tell me like, God, Chris, you shouldn't be doing that. You're back and this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, why shouldn't I? I'm actually strengthening every other part of my body, and perhaps it's actually going to make my backs feel better. So I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm excited for tonight. I'm excited. Speaking of fun and speaking of truth, we have a special guest tonight. So I'd love for you to introduce him and let's get this thing underway.
So he's a fellow professor. He's an incredibly smart, vibrant human being. He comes to us from Indiana. He's done a lot of really cool stuff, but the coolest thing that he does, he's going to be talking about today. He's a hypnotist, and he's not going to hypnotize anybody or do anything crazy like that, but he's going to give us the ins and out and do a lot of fun stuff with us, and we can get some questions answered, because I know personally I got plenty of questions, and I'm going to ask them of our good friend, Nic Gnosis. Come on, Nick.
What's up, Nick? Welcome to the Unfiltered Experience, brother. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing amazing. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys.
Great to see you too. We've got some people already in the house waiting to hear the truth about hypnosis. We've got Monique sitting there saying, she says, "Go, so good to catch up with you. Oh, you're so dope. We are so dope. Somebody's so dope." Thank you so much. Monique is amazing. Her honesty, her posts and her memes are absolutely just hysterical. I mean, it fits in with everything we do. Jacqueline's in the house. She says, "Hello, Pancho and Lefty. Gonna be great as always." I guess I'm Lefty. Because I
don't know what I am. I'll take it.
Are you undecided?
I'm undecided. I'm on the fence. Poncho or Lefty.
Ooh, Glenda got her first COVID shot today. Woohoo! All right, go Glenda, go Glenda, go. And Glenda says, "Cool." So, welcome to the show. And one more person we got jumping in, Kellen Ann. What's up, Kellen? I know you said you were interested in this, so welcome to the show. So let's get started.
All right. What questions you got, Chris? I've got a lot of questions. I actually took my glasses off because I don't want to accidentally get hypnotized. You know, they say don't look deep into the eyes of the person. I'm just trying to be cautious. So.
Well, I would say my first question is, and this is something I've asked different hypnotists in my life, is what is your definition of hypnosis? Because I think there's the old vaudeville and the old days where they think, you know, you're going to turn somebody into a chicken. But I happen to know that quite a few people have used hypnosis to quit smoking and do other things. Talk to us about your definition, the way you see hypnosis being, so that we can actually establish that foundation for the conversation to ensue.
Yeah, absolutely. So the question is, what's the definition of hypnosis? You can find a whole bunch of different definitions, but at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is take somebody from one reality to another. And what that could mean is changing behaviors, identity, belief systems, life patterns. Other definitions could be it's a state of relaxed focus, not quite fully awake, not quite asleep, or any kind of trance-like state. And the thing that's worth mentioning is this is kind of a continuum. So it's not like you're hypnotized or you aren't. And we sort of get in and out of these light trances all day when we're on the phone, when we're driving, and so on.
I love it. You know, Chris and I have been doing life coaching and group coaching. And the biggest thing we always talk about is mindset shift. And that's super. Somebody's actually bringing me a mojito right now. I'm going to put that down right here.
Damn.
So, I know.
Thanks, Jessica. I have my water.
So,
cheers.
So, thanks. So, the mindset shift is super important to us. And one of the things that, you know, we love to tell people is people come to us and say, you know, how do I fix myself? How do I shift my mindset? And we've explored, you know, meditation, hypnosis, breath work. There's so many complementary means, and some work better for another person. Talk about, I want to hear this because I know my breath work friends, my meditation friends, the coaches, I love all modalities because all of them can speak to some person. What kind of person do you think hypnosis would speak to? Like, talk about some of the people that you've really helped shift that mindset, whether it's stopping smoking, whether it's overcoming a fear or whatever.
Sure, absolutely. So first and foremost, yeah, I wouldn't say to do only hypnosis. And I'm a big fan of some other things. I do breath work as well, Wim Hof, transcendental meditation, yoga, a lot of journaling exercises, affirmations, things of that nature. So, but this is not like, oh, you have to replace what you're already doing or that this is the only way. This happens to be a very good way. And it's one of the fastest, if not the fastest way of changing human behavior. So to answer your question of who's a good fit for hypnosis, every single person can be hypnotized because it's how we learn, is through suggestion. But the truth is some people respond better than others. And what I find is anyone at the end of the day who's dead set on doing this, regardless of their personality, their temperament, or whether they're this type of person or that type of person, as long as they're committed to it, they can experience the change. So as far as who I like to work with, I get the best results when these are people who already have a history of success. So if this is somebody who doesn't have anything, you know, really kind of going and they don't have a pattern of success, I'm not going to do all the legwork for them. This is a very rapid way to change, but at the same time, I want people to have skin in the game. You know, sometimes I'll have parents say, you know, I have this kid who's depressed, I have this kid who needs better grades, and I'll say, like, I don't want you to pay for it, or at least not all of it. I want the kid to pay for it so that they come on time. Because when you pay attention. I want this person to show up. So these are people who have agency, they have skin in the game, they have a history of success. Probably maybe a third or almost a half of my clients have already been hypnotized. So that's another good indicator. If somebody's super skeptical and they, you know, need to be convinced or persuaded, I don't do that. Just find something else that works for you, because I want people who are excited about this.
That's a great point. That's the same way Scott and I are really about our coaching and everything else, is like finding the people that really are ready to have skin in the game, because so many people want to sit there and say they want to do things, but they really don't want to do them. Talk to us about how you got into hypnosis. I'm so curious about that, because I know some people that got into it and they got into it really creative ways. So I'm just interested in how you came about it and what you find so fascinating about it to be able to help people with.
Oh man. So, you know, as Scott mentioned, some people knew me as Professor Nick, used to be a professor, and I was, teaching at Indiana University for a long time. I was one of the youngest lecturers there. I would have been the youngest senior lecturer if I stayed there. And I was teaching communication science. And I would go and I would travel and stuff. And, I had this deep, like, kind of emptiness in me. And I would always be looking to kind of fill the hole, and found personal development. And personal development was not a fun hobby of like, oh, that looks fun. It was more like, I'm in so much pain, I will do anything to feel better. And most of my 20s was just kind of wandering around, trying different jobs and having different careers and doing this and that, and just being kind of uncertain and not feeling super fulfilled by it. So this all basically changed on one day. So how do I explain it to you is imagine that you're walking down the street and you don't believe in lightning, and then you're struck dead by a bolt of lightning. And that's what happened to me. I was a skeptic by nature, and I was at a conference, and this is like a social media marketing convention. There's people, business owners, people in suits and stuff, and they say, oh, we're gonna have this late show. There's a hypnotist, and I was kind of like, well, that sounds weird, but screw it. I'm not doing anything. Whatever, check it out. So I go there. And I watch this, and there's an immediate, like, you can feel something's going on in the room when you get there. Something is going on. There's something is afoot. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And it was weird. And so this guy comes out, is very strange, quite a character, and he's doing, stage hypnosis. This is very different than hypnotherapy, because the goal of stage hypnosis is just to entertain. So he brings people up, he does this test, he brings folks up, he makes them do some silly things, the dumb stuff that bark like a dog, whatnot, of course, all in good fun.
I've never been a chicken on stage. I've never been a chicken on stage.
Good. We'll keep it that way. So I can start to, I'm like debating with myself, and I'm like, is this for real? Like, or are these people just kind of being complicit? Like, it's a psychological mechanism. He's using social proof. He's just finding the most successful. He's getting them to comply through this. And I was like, they must be playing along. But the more I watched, the more I could see subtle things, like in the animation of the face, a complete lack of facial affect, the rigid movements of these people, and their kind of like kind of vacant expressions and responses. Something was different. It was like watching sorcery, and I was just sitting there the whole time, like in disbelief, because like I said, I'm a skeptic by nature, and I don't take anyone's word for anything. And all of a sudden, the kind of the turning point, there's maybe two things that put the nail in the coffin for me. So there was a couple there, and I knew these folks. I'd met them earlier that weekend, but there's a guy and a girl. The guy's hypnotized. He's in a very deep trance. There's no tension in his body. He's a puddle in this chair. And, he's got his lady friend is in the audience, and the hypnotist, he's going around, he's kind of doing his little shtick. And he addresses one. He's like, "Oh, is this your husband here?" He says, "Oh no, that's my boyfriend." And he says, "Okay, really? How long have you guys been together?" And she's like, "Oh, about 4 years." And he's like, "Oh, well, how come he hasn't, popped the question?" And she's like, "I don't know, just maybe the timing is not right or whatever." And he sits there, he has this pause, and he goes, "Do you want me to fix this for you? I'll fix it right now." And she goes, "Oh my God, yes." And I'm just there like, no fucking way, no way. And, he goes over to this man who's extremely introverted. He says something, on the count of 3, you're going to do da-da-da-da. And this man, he just kind of pops up like a zombie, very shy, introverted person. He just addresses the whole room and says something and says, "Oh, Bianca, my love, blah, 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 blah," and proposes to this woman. She's beet red, flushing red. I've never seen anyone so happy in my entire life.
Wow.
And I was just like, well, you know what? Even if these people are acting, they're acting pretty damn good. And I couldn't, after that point, I couldn't think about anything else. I didn't sleep that night. I was shocked. I was confused. I was like, no, but really, but no. And I had to learn more. And, it wasn't a month or two later, just by chance, I saw another hypnotist, and there's this kid that we knew with this stutter who went up there, and you know where this is going. And I didn't believe it either. You see, again, like, are they acting? Are they kind of playing along? And this kid had a stutter, nice person, charming person, intelligent, had a girlfriend, successful, all that, but it's not clear speech. He stuttered. And so the hypnotist says something, he's going to tell me he speaks clearly. Again, I'm like, no fucking way. Kid stands up and he's just like, hey guys, how's it going? And just starts talking. And I was just like, what the fuck? And he's like, you can't act that. You can't pretend that, or if you can, I don't know, but I'm still shocked by it. And it was like this portal opened, it sucked me in, and I just have been fixated on nothing but hypnosis since that day.
Wow. Thank you for answering that, man. That's a cool story.
It's an awesome story. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
So what have you, so one of the things that, Chris and I have done with our coaching is, I'm a big fan, and, we're in the same space of tapping into the unconscious mind and reprogramming. Mm-hmm. So that's really what's happening here is we're going into the mind and reprogramming beliefs, mindset, shifts, things that came through trauma or identity or development. So as these things are happening, the methodology I use through the meditations that I create is very similar. Like they're built in theta. So we've got theta sounds in the background. I make sure they're timely enough, and I plug in words that are essentially reprogrammed. So a lot of positive stuff. So that's where I'm doing it. They're doing it in the morning and before they go to bed. So in those theta time periods, that's where I'm doing that. Talk to me about what this literally looks like. And now that you've been doing it for a while, do you have the capabilities, and what would that look like to help somebody remove a stutter? Is it something that they can do permanently, or is it only in that moment that they're with you? And then does this mindset literally change of this gentleman that he really wanted to propose? Or is he like, whoa, what just happened? Like, walk through a little of that, because
sure,
I'm sure somebody wants to know that answer.
Yeah. So there was a couple questions. So let me just start with the more recent one, which was like the gentleman who proposed. To be honest, I got the sense that he seemed happy, but he definitely wasn't as happy as the wife. I believe they're still married. We're friends on LinkedIn. So I think they were kind of at different places, but my belief there is that there has to be something deep down in that guy that wanted to pull the trigger, and he needed a place or an excuse or something to put him over the edge. And I think that was it for him there. So it's very, very hard, if not impossible, to get somebody to do something that they don't honestly want to do. So that's to answer that one. To answer the stutter question, yeah, you're not going to make somebody stop stuttering if that's part of who they are, if they need it to feel safe. Like, don't pick on me, don't call on me, don't put me in the front of the room, don't give me attention, don't give me a voice. If they have all that stuff, you're not going to take their stutter away. No. But if they're ready and if it's time, absolutely. So there's two kinds of stutters, actually. One is very like physiological, or like more physically in the brain, something's going on there, in which case you could certainly make improvements, but I wouldn't have any guarantee. There's the other that's more behavioral. How do you know which is which? The behavioral one you can usually trace to an incident where they said, that I was 5 and the teacher made me do this, or this girl laughed at me, or whatever, or I was in I tried to say this word, we were doing this or that, and you can usually trace it. So those were the two questions. I think you were kind of getting into theta before that, and you were talking about meditations. So a good way to kind of, draw some overlap here is this is not unlike meditation. And there's a huge overlap there. Some people would say it's meditation with utilization. And the key is where there's commonalities, you're both getting people into a state of relaxed focus, where they can kind of shut down that critical mind, that critical chatter that's analyzing, weighing, evaluating. You can't think yourself out of everything. And this is putting yourself into another part of your brain where you can get that result. I love the use of either binaural beats or some kind of sound waves that can seem to trigger that. Absolutely, that can work. And you repeating these positive things depending on the person. If they vibe with you and your style and your message, then absolutely, that's a good way to do it. They're all supplements. I don't know if you had a few questions. I don't know if that answered it all.
No, you actually did much better than I probably would have. I had a 3-part question. You hit all the points. Chris, what do you got? There's so many things I want to ask. I know you got some good stuff.
Who, me?
Sure.
No, actually, I have a fun one. What's been the crazy experience that you've had when you've been hypnotizing somebody? Have you ever had, like, I know you're not doing the stage stuff, but I can imagine, I've talked to some of my friends and they're like, I didn't expect this stuff to come out of somebody. Have you had some of those experiences, or one that just really stands out for you?
Yeah, about 108 of them came to mind when you said that.
Oh, really? I wasn't sure.
Boy. So one of the ones that I kind of told you, one of the craziest ones. So are you asking like when I've been hypnotized or when I've kind of elicited it from another person?
When you've been in the driver's seat, like you're sitting there, you're going through it and you're like, holy, what the heck just happened?
I didn't want to know
that. So you're asking like when I was the subject?
No, actually, when you were facilitating, facilitating.
Oh, I was hypnotizing. Okay.
And somebody reacted differently, or something happened, or just something that kind of shocked or amazed you that you weren't expecting.
Yeah. So a few things. So one is like, there's probably the very first time, I made someone forget their name, and you wouldn't think that that's easy to do. But we forget stuff all the time. Forget your keys, wallets. It's a filtering and focusing process where they're in rapport with you. You're building up their focus, concentration, lowering that critical faculty until they reach a point where the idea of like forgetting has been made so comfortable and so vivid to them that they cannot remember their name. Usually this is done through what we call law of reverse action. So say the harder you try to do X, the harder it is. The harder you try to recall this, the harder it is. So the first time I had made this, a friend forget her name, and I thought she was just kind of playing along, and I was asking, and I was like, tell me. And they just kind of looked at me, and then I just paused for a second. And I was like, your name's Carl. What's your name? Carl. And then I was just like, I couldn't believe like that this is happening for real. So that was a big change for me. And that's the kind of thing, if you're watching or listening to this and you think like, well, that sounds like some BS. I thought the same thing. And when I'd see these videos of it happening, I'd be like, okay, these are paid actors. But no, to actually have that to witness the sorcery firsthand was remarkable. Another crazy one is trying to think. There's a few. Probably the coolest therapy one that I've done, and can't really give any identifying information.
No, definitely not.
But I had these. I just kind of thought of this. It's not a common practice. I just thought I kind of just improvised on this. But I was like, okay, I'm going to show you these note cards. They have words that are meaningful written to you on them, and you're going to embody that. And I was showing this person these note cards, and they're reading them. Zeal, empowerment, potential, so on and so forth. And I'm just okay. And then I'm like, okay, great. And then at the end, I show them the note cards, and they're blank. I showed this person a whole bunch of 3x5 note cards. Wow. That are blank, and they're reading words there. And he's like, no, where are the other ones? I'm like, these are the ones. So there's different depths that you can get to, and you don't have to get someone into a very deep trance to affect like permanent, powerful change. You can just be in a pretty light resting trance to do most of it. On the other hand, if you want to do a root canal on someone and not have them feel it, then you're talking about a little more time there to get them into that state. So anyways, these little suggestions are not just to mess with people, they're to measure that state, basically their depth or their commitment. So at a certain point, you can experience catalepsy, which is when they have loss of conscious control. So you'll tell a hand or an arm to like move by itself or not be able to. You tell them they cannot open their hand and they're trying to do it. And like you're encouraging them. And then once they can't do it, then that they're at that certain point where you can kind of go in for the kill. That is, make your suggestion that's, for quitting smoking or what have you. The next level is the amnestic properties, where somebody cannot recall certain information, at least temporarily. And then below that is positive and negative hallucinations, which is where people can see things that are there or not see things that are there. So this is where one of the ways to test it is you have somebody say there's a blue circle on that wall or something, and trace it with your eyes. And the person who's, not really doing it and playing along, their eye will have saccades. Their eye will have these little movements as they're tracing this. But the person who's physically seeing it in their brain, there'll be a smooth motion of the eyes. So these are some little tests you can do to kind of determine where somebody's at.
Dude, those are great stories. I just want to pause here for a second because I know Scott's going to jump on something. I just want to recognize everybody here. Thank you guys for being here on the Unfiltered Experience. We got Monique in the house. We got Glenn in the house. We got Kellen Ann in the house. We got Marlene Sanchez in the house. What's up, Marlene? Happy Friday night. Thank you for being here. Darlene says here, she says, I have always wanted to be hypnotized. Wake up and be LOL. Oh, I don't know what that means. Glenda says, asking a question here. It's a great question. What about hypnosis for someone who is who got very traumative childhood, who got a lot of childhood, basically was traumatized in their childhood?
Yeah. So you could totally do hypnosis on people with PTSD. Is kind of a case-by-case basis. So there's certain things that I wouldn't recommend. What the hypnosis on the whole is very, very, very safe. It's pretty hard to hurt someone with hypnosis. The only time that you want to really use caution is surrounding memories. So the creation or retrieval of memories. As a matter of fact, if somebody testifies in court and they've been hypnotized around, something they saw, that testimony is ruled inadmissible, because in hypnosis you can create vivid memories that are indistinguishable from reality. So the answer is it kind of depends. So for example, like if someone has had like a lot of verbal bullying or something like that, and they want to create new behaviors, for example, strong boundaries, learning to stand up for themselves, ask for what they need. Yeah, totally. If somebody has a like repressed memory, like I don't know what happened from this age to this age, we don't touch it, because you're going to create something that doesn't exist there, and that's not safe. And when in doubt, you partner with a psychotherapist or someone else who is going to examine it. If I'm not 100% certain, then I'll ask for referral.
That's good. We have actually another question here from Jacqueline. She says, I have a fear of heights and a fear of enclosed spaces. I wonder if hypnosis would help. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Yep. Great question. Yeah. So fears and phobias are one of the best applications of hypnosis. So needles, cats, dog, heights, enclosed spaces, agoraphobia, relationships and intimacy. Those are all kinds of fears and phobias. So yeah, totally. The process is usually some amount of desensitization, where you're kind of creating a safe space for a person to reframe or re-understand this thing that they don't find palatable. And then some mental rehearsal that's incrementally making it safe. So public speaking is the number one that I do. Public speaking is so massive. More people are afraid of public speaking than death. Yeah. So answering the question, yeah, hypnosis is great for fears and phobias.
Awesome. We have a few more people in the house. I'm going to turn it over to you, Scott. We got Robert in the house. We got Monique telling Linda to get over here. She goes, Linda, get over here. Got to be watching this. We got Mr. Mark Gassert. Greetings from Peachtree, Georgia. Thank you for being here. Thomas Nance, what's up? Or Thomas Neese. Neese. I have a friend named Thomas Nance. He says, my son and I are enjoying your show. Well, thank you so much for being here on Friday night. We appreciate you, brother. Linda's in the house. Monique says she has a question. She goes, would it help for weight loss?
Totally. So a lot of this is surrounding what's called a subconscious self-image. So people have a life story. They have a narrative about who they are. This is very much like an actor who's playing a role. So here's a good example. I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent. We'll get back to weight loss because this is more general than I'm going to bring it specific. So if you, for example, Good Will Hunting. I would watch this movie, Good Will Hunting. For those of you who aren't familiar, it's this brilliant mathematician genius who's working as a janitor at a prestigious college. He's underutilizing all his potential. And I always felt that was me. I was playing small. And when you believe that you are something at the level of being, then the doing just happens. So the person like Mark Zuckerberg or whoever, that these people were billionaires. They were billionaires before they were billionaires because they thought, because they acted, because they have ideas that other people didn't. People who, when they have kids, they become a parent and they start behaving like a parent. People who kind of get stuck at a place in the past and they're still behaving like that. So you act out what you are. So back to, let's say, weight loss. If I have a subconscious self-image of, I'm unattractive or I'm undeserving of this, or, I don't have any sense of self-control, then we act out what we believe. So you change a person's subconscious self-image of whatever's tied to it. I'm deserving of love and I don't get love from food, I give it to myself, or I deserve to be happy, or I deserve to be attractive. And whatever it is that's tied to it, and then you'll reinforce the specific behavior. So you start with that big picture identity and then go behaviorally of giving suggestions for, eating or abstaining from food. Yeah, this is a good segue into a thing that we kind of touched on earlier, was what are the other things that you can use, in conjunction with hypnosis. And what I make all my clients do is tracking. So what we know for a fact is when you measure something or track it, it improves. You think you can't spend less money? Track how much money you spend a week. It will cut it in by 30, 40, 50%, I guarantee you. People who write down 3 things they're grateful for every day, they become more grateful throughout the day. So you write down the goal of, I am X pounds, or I'm going to eat Y calories repeatedly, like you mean it, like your life depends on it. And you will become that thing. You will step into that person.
I love that. I love where you're going with that, because, Chris and I are always talking about manifestation and effective visualization and how do we get from point A to point B. And what you said, where a Mark Zuckerberg or an Elon Musk or some of these people, they were infinite creators literally from day one. Like they were built to be that. And so all they had to do is walk the pathway into their truth. What we're doing and what you're talking about and what I want to see more people do, and Chris and I sell this point up and down, is, can you, and you already know the answer to this, can you recreate a new truth? And you've got a beautiful methodology to do it. Chris has a beautiful methodology to do it. I have a beautiful methodology to do it. And we get people to step out of their own way and start writing the story today. So let's talk a little more about that. One of the things I love is how you mentioned a stutter, and I was really listening to that closely. You were saying that the stutter literally can be a mask to hide behind. Somebody can literally use this to say, if I have this, I don't have to speak. People won't call on me. And it's a beautiful wall that some other fears that have been created can hide behind. Weight can be the same thing. It's a beautiful defense mechanism to say, oh, I can't do that, or I can't do that, out of your own fears. Let's just talk deeply, because I'm sure that everybody here has something that they're like, I would be this if blank. Let's get rid of those ifs. What can we do with hypnosis or other modalities? Let's focus for now on hypnosis. How can everyone here integrate that, or how do they work with you, or what kind of things can they do to start painting that picture? Because we know that we've put a wall around us and we've created this idea of limits, and those limits are 99% self-created. We're infinite.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. It's not, for most people, there's exceptions. For most people, it's not society or your parents or this or that or the market or the economy that's screwing you over. I'm not saying those things don't matter. Of course they do. Of course your parents affect your behavior. But it's not that thing that's probably keeping you from what you want. You're the one who's doing it. You keep fucking yourself over. I have fucked myself out of so many things. And I'm sure on some level, maybe I still am. So to answer the other question was like, how do you start? I think like people underestimate the power of a single decision. And if I'm being honest, like just having a moment of clarity, where you see this a lot is with addicts and alcoholics, or people who have had, lifelong addictions, trauma, whatever, where they had a moment where something happened, or they had a moment of clarity where they said, like, I'm done with this. And they made a decision, and their brain physically changed in that moment and opened a new pathway of possibility. Right. So if you guys are watching this here, don't wait. Don't even wait till the end of it. Like, make a decision now, write it down, say to yourself in the mirror, you'll be surprised. And if you have, what I like to call a North Star, which is either your goal. Some people do vision board. That's cool. However people want to do it. Having some kind of thing to always point you back. So you can ask yourself at each and every day, did I move closer to this, or did I not? But yeah, the decision, a single powerful decision.
So I'm hearing, like, one of the things that you said, Chris and I mentioned this a lot. sometimes when people say they're making that decision, they really quickly run back to I can't because the fireworks don't go off. They say I'm going to do it, and they're like, okay, everything's still the same, and they run back. One of the things that I've always tried to break down, and I'd like to get your feedback on this, and Chris and I agree with this, there's two things that hold us back. There's reasons and excuses. Reasons are real. Reasons are, my mom was difficult to deal with. We didn't have enough money. I got fired from the job. That's real. That reason, when watered and when nurtured, becomes an excuse. And then we attach that like crazy. We put that on our identity and say, guys, I can't, I want to, but let's talk about how to intercept reasons from becoming excuses and how to break down excuses, move them back to reasons, and chuck them off the bridge and get back into our truth.
Great.
Sure.
Question.
Great question, Scott. So there's a few things in there. I'm just going to kind of, freestyle a little bit here, wherever my mind wants to take me. So one is that I won't take it away from people if they're not ready yet. So for example, some people are not ready to be done with their pain. I had a very, very bad depression, miserable depression. It was so bad. I had this magnet attached to my head, shocking my left hemisphere. So depressed. And I just wasn't ready to let go of that safety blanket, that comfortable excuse or whatever. But then at some point I got tired of it. So that's first and foremost is before somebody's going to work with me, I'm going to ask them, a question like this. Do you want to quit smoking? Yes. Do you really want to? Well, yeah, but I still want to go to bed once in a while with the drink and it's just like, sir, I would be doing you a disservice right here. And, it's a liability for me too if I can't deliver the results. I can't control them. So yeah, making sure somebody is ready. You talk about, if you keep feeding this excuse or this thing, I'm too X, to this, to that. Again, I'm not saying these things don't matter. Some of this comes down to expectation and prediction. And it's like you said, that the fireworks don't go off. When I was trying to start, enter entrepreneurial space many years ago, I would talk to my mom and I'd be like, I worked 50 hours this week. And she just goes, she's like, she's an entrepreneur too. And she's like, cry me a river. Like, it's my expectation was not congruent with reality. So you have to have an expectation that's, you're playing big enough and like you're doing something that matters here, but at the same time, like I'll use the entrepreneur example, like you're going to get upset. You're going to have things not go well for you. You're going to take some losses. You're going to lose and waste a lot of money. You're going to be annoyed. You're going to annoy a lot of other people. There's going to be some very unhappy times. You're going to work 100 hours, so you don't have to work 40. So this is, if you set somebody up for the expectations, then it can make it more palatable. So like the good one that I'll use specifically in hypnosis is there's no failure, only feedback. So when somebody's reframing that, if they're in sales, every no is bringing them closer to a yes. When you change the way that you look at something, it doesn't have the same emotional pull over you. So, I mean, yeah, you guys can hold on to your excuses for as long as you want to. I'm not going to take them from you.
I love that. I'm the no excuses coach. So I love how Scott set that up. I want to go back to something you just said for a second. You said a pathway to possibility. It's interesting that you talked about that because I'm listening to Brene Brown's book, Braving the Wilderness. And in that, she talks about the fact that so many of us complain about we don't have energy, right? Oh, I don't have energy. I don't have energy. I'm depressed. But what would happen if we suddenly got an email saying we won the lottery? Right? Our physiology would immediately change. We would have all the energy in the world. And so I love that when you said a pathway to possibility and it's one decision away, it really is. I mean, I've proven it so many different times with my coaching clients. It's like, are you ready to make that decision? Yes or no? Or are you ready to slam that door shut, board it up and go forward? Right? So I love that because the energy is within us. We just have to sit there and say, okay, I've had enough. Tony Robbins talks about the leverage principle. We do things for one of two reasons: to avoid pain or to gain pleasure. And when we sit there and what Scott and I talk about is like, go look in the accountability mirror and ask yourself, like, number one, where it is that I'm going and what legacy do I want to leave behind? And then ask yourself in those questions, if you're doing something, you ask yourself the simple, like you said, a decision, is this getting me closer to or further from my stated goals? And if you're honest with yourself and you say, this is getting me further away from my stated goals, and you stop it and you make that decision right right then and there to drop whatever it is, and you go towards your stated goals, and you continue to do that, you get to your stated goals. I mean, I love it. One of the things I really wanted to talk to you about as well, because I remember this when we were talking about hypnosis, I forgot that I tried to study self-hypnosis. And I remember some of the exercises in there where it was talking about taking me, because I was trying to always find inner peace and like just calm. And so I started studying self-hypnosis. And I remember there was an exercise that was like, took me down the stairs and it was getting darker and stuff like that. Are you familiar with have you done self-hypnosis? And do you recommend that for people to try?
Sure. The honest to God truth is that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You know, I can't make anybody do anything, so you have to allow for it. And thing is, we're all constantly hypnotized, which is to say we're all constantly having our attention or our focuses directed in ways that are affecting our experience or our beliefs. So you gave the example of the stairway deepener. Totally. So it's different for every person. Some people like to just sit down and kind of close their eyes for a few seconds and visualize. Myself, how do I say? It's kind of like embarrassing to admit, but like I record myself talking to myself, and then I listen to me, and I'm just like, oh, I have a beautiful voice, and I just hear myself, giving myself these suggestions, and I find that one works really well for me. So I'll give 3 ways. Find out which one works for you. It's either writing it repeatedly or reading it repeatedly. So that can just be helpful, like having a dedicated journal, something by your nightstand. I have like a little Etch-a-Sketch kind of thing where it's like this little magnetic pen drawing, and I just write down my income goal every night. So you can write it, you can hear it / listen to it, or you can visualize it, or you can do all of those. I like to, record myself and kind of fall asleep to myself, because I know that I take suggestion from myself. So it's really just, you're going to have to kind of experiment a little bit and see what works for you. But yeah, write it down / read it, listen to it, or visualize it.
I love that. I love that. And is there a difference, if you're a visual, auditory, or kinesthetic learner, do you think that some people lean into one more than the other, or do you play with all 3? Or
you can experiment, and some people apparently cannot visualize. About 8% of people have this aphantasia. They cannot seem to eat, or at least not easily visualize. But everyone can, imagine or get a sense of it, like can bring some concept from their imagination. So I think you'd have to probably test it and kind of see which one works, and wait till you kind of find the needle moving and say this one is working. Or just go to what calls to you, or to even, honest to God, what's convenient for you. So what they used to do back in the day, one of my mentors who kind of was a pioneer of corporate hypnosis, bringing the skills to workplace, is he would have people burn a CD. So this, dating it a little bit here, but burn a CD, listen to it in the car. What's your excuse now? You want to listen to Pitbull instead of like get your goals in the car. Just put it on an audio tape and just do it that way.
So, did you get a question, Chris?
No, I wasn't sure if he was done with that thought. Actually, I do have a question.
Yep.
When I think about going to see a professional about something, I think about credentials. I think about what kind of training they've had. I think about what experience they have. I think about what questions I can ask them. For people who are watching this and intrigued by this, obviously by the questions, what recommendations would you have for them if they're going to see a hypnotist in their area for a specific modality? What any type of training they should be looking for? Any kind of markers they should be looking for to keep them to where they're safe?
Sure. So I'm going to go for what's true in the United States. I can't speak for the rest of the world. In the US, it's in most states, although it varies in most states, it's pretty easy to practice hypnosis. There's not a ton of barriers, and it's because it's pretty safe to do, and it's not really it's kind of a difficult area to regulate. How do you prove if somebody was doing hypnosis, right? So yeah, going to school for hypnosis, absolutely. I went to Hypnosis Motivation Institute. It's nationally accredited school. There's a whole bunch of other good ones. This is an art and a science. So I would really have to say the biggest thing is, yes, the credentials and stuff matter. If they have testimonials and stuff, that's great. But really just kind of see if you vibe with this person. Because even if somebody is, you could take the best hypnotist in the world, but if somebody doesn't feel like they have rapport or connection with that person, that's the biggest thing. Someone who's been doing hypnosis for 40 years that you don't connect with is not going to get you as good as a result as someone who's done it for 3 months that you connect deeply with. There's something energetic here that's going on. It's deeper. The words are so secondary. There's a feeling or an intention that you're transmitting to people when you work with them. So yeah, feel it out, guys.
Your comment there is so on point. And Chris and I talk about this a long time. So many people, and I'm going to integrate a few things. You said something with so much wisdom that I agree with you tenfold. You were talking about if people aren't ready to release their pain, if people aren't ready, that's not our job to do that. We really have to be really smart about who we take on as clients to move them forward, because they might be just looking for one more thing to solidify their mask of BS of why they can't, to hold themselves in that victim space. And that's a hard thing to do, because we want to help so much that we're like, come to the water, come to the water. And then they come and go, we couldn't get over the fence and it's your fault. And like, you do know there was a door, you could have walked right in.
Right.
So we get to those spaces. What I want to talk about, sorry, there's just a loud bang, just making sure everyone's all right. Go, Chris. I totally lost my thought there.
No worries, no worries. Actually, what I want to do is I just want to take a second to acknowledge, just to let you guys know, especially you, Nick. Darlene saying this is awesomeness. We got Chad Pape in the house. Monica says this is such an amazing program. Let's see. Darlene says loving this. Scott or Chad says master morality has to change each time you learn new things.
Yeah.
And then Robert has some stuff. Chad says, "Hey Scott, where's Pamela?"
Where is Pamela?
I'm not sure what that means. I got Monique saying some stuff. Reasons versus excuses. What's else we got? Chad says, "Love you guys always. Adios." Thank you for being here, Chad, for a minute. What other comments we got going on here? Oh yeah, Marlene says here, she says the words are secondary. There is feeling there. I love that. Yes. And Robert says here, he goes, this is why I became an engagement amplifier. Ooh, an engagement amplifier. So there you have it. We're having great dialogue here. Thank you guys all so much for being here and commenting. Scott, did you have your question come back into your brain?
Yeah, I'll come back. So the whole thing, I was just talking about that energy piece, and I love what you're saying. So people in victim status, we can't yank them out of that space, but you are so on point. If you understand what Reiki is, as a Reiki healer, I've studied shamanism. The person has to gel with you. The first time I was exposed to a Reiki massage, the whole time I kept thinking, I don't like this person. I don't like this person. I don't like this person. And I got nothing out of it. So then I said it was hocus pocus BS, and I didn't like it. I got sucked back into it, and I was like, whatever. And Nick, you and I are the same, like super like overcritical, like doubt everything. No, this can't work. But I'll always go, and I'll do what you say, and I'll try it because I want to believe. But I'm like, you got to prove this to me. And the next person just said, said, this is all up to you. Go. I'm going to be here as a conduit, and the comfort. I was like, boom, unbelievable, magical. And then, so I actually won't work with somebody unless I feel very connected to them in that space, and it's right on point. So I want to echo what you said. When you look for somebody, don't look for 40 years. Don't look for all this. Literally, if you feel called, you're going through the phone book or whatever the thing is now, or you're Googling or whatever, or you're going by, like if something says, look, talk to this person, pick the phone up, call them. And if you feel connected, move in, because that's the way we need to start connecting, is the universal connections that we feel are coming from our hearts and from something much bigger than ratings or Yelp or whatever. So thanks for sharing that, because those two bits of wisdom of not everyone's ready, and it's much more than a resume. And I'm with you 100%.
Totally. Yeah. One thing that I will add is, I've taken some leaps of faith before where, I thought about, do I want to do this program? Do I not? And yes, go with your heart, but there are going to be some times where you may have to take a bit of a risk. You may have to go a little outside of your comfort zone to make something happen. Only you can decide that, but use both. You have your intuition speak to you and say, if you're just like, I don't like this guy is weird, that's fine. Move on, respect their time. They'll respect your time. You'll both be better off. Happens all the time when I approach organizations and say, I do this, I do transformational hypnosis, and they'll say, Nic, that's cool, but I can't really see it being a cultural fit here. And I say, thank you, because I don't want to waste their time and vice versa. So yeah, you follow the intuition, but then also realize that if there's some resistance, like you feel pulled to this thing, but you're like, I don't know, should I do? That's a sign. That's a very good sign that you might need to pull the trigger, that you may have to take a bit of a leap of faith. It shouldn't be terrifying, but like it's not gonna be comfortable and easy. If you expect the whole thing to be comfortable and easy, I don't know what to tell you. I've never seen such a thing.
Never seen such a thing. Awesome. Final questions and thoughts, Mr. Scott, before we ask this fine gentleman where people can get a hold of him at.
I love this, and I would love to do another show if you would be willing to, Nic, that, maybe we explore kind of the depths of the practice a little bit more, because we've got people here that, like I said, are doing so many different modalities of personal growth and self-development. And honestly, there's no one size fits all for everything. Exploring and touching and understanding, and you bring the biggest piece. Come ready, come wanting to grow, and
yeah.
I would love to invite a big crowd, and we do some kind of a demonstration, something that you feel comfortable, and we'll prepare that. And I want to do it. I want to do some personal growth here. I want to physically grow live right here.
That'd be fun.
So just a statement. So will you come back is what I'm asking.
Yeah, totally. There's a lot of things we can do there depending on the audience. Yeah, I've done some live stuff before. I'd be down for it. I think that'd be good. This is the vibe that's happening here. That I reached out to a bunch of people on LinkedIn, and there's something about your language or your approach that I gelled with. So yeah, totally.
Love it.
Awesome. So where can people get a hold of you? I believe it is Instagram at Nicnosis. Is that correct?
That is right. Yeah. So that's probably the best way to get a hold of me. And from there, you can just send me a message, say, hypnotize me, Nic, or if you want to follow, watch the stories, whatever makes sense to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, man. I mean, it's been a wealth of knowledge. It's been a great time getting to know the truth about hypnosis. So thank you. We're going to stick you backstage in the green room for a second while Scott and I finish up the show. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a little after chat. So thank you again for being here, brother. And we appreciate you. So hang on. There we have it, Mr. Scott Goyette. Another amazing show. A lot of new information, a lot of great information. What do you think?
I love it.
You ready? You're going to do it live.
I'm actually really excited to do that live, and I wanted to cut this short because this was a beautiful introduction of what hypnosis is, getting rid of the hocus pocus and explaining that. And we didn't get all the details either. I'm sure that would take another hour, and we can integrate that in the next show. But the thing that I think is important to take away from this is there's so many modalities of potential healing for personal growth. And also, even in Western medicine, when you go to a doctor, you are the biggest part of the success of your healing or your growth. And we say this all the time. And when you look for something extraneous from you to heal you, like this person will help me, or this will help me, or if I just do this, it's always been in here. And so Nic stated that so eloquently. He even said he only takes clients who understand that they're the biggest part of the success process. That doesn't mean that he just stands there and they fix themselves. He means he will be a conduit to that healing with the things that he understands, but they've got to be part of that process. So I challenge everybody to start being part of your healing and growth process if you haven't done it yet, with no excuses. What do you think, Chris?
No excuses. I love it. I'm about to get that tattooed.
Do it.
Glenda says here, cool, Scott. Monique says here, she goes, I will never miss another program. Thank you so much, Monique. We have plenty of replays for you. We'll put the link in the comments if you guys want to go back and catch the replays. If this is the first time you guys are catching us, we appreciate you. Monique and I have been connected for a long time. Angel says, have either Christopher Rausch or Scott Goyette been hypnotized?
We're going to be.
I have not. They tried to do that to me on a cruise ship, and I could not. It wasn't happening. So I finally just gave in and just pretended to do what they wanted me to do, and had a whole lot of fun doing that. By the way, they wanted me to be a chicken. Oh yeah, I was a chicken. Oh yeah, it was the late show. It was good times. People remember me around the ship the next day because I was all fuckered up and everything. Darlene says, no excuses, thanks, Scott. Glenda says, thank you. My question got the answer. My question, absolutely. No problem. And Robert says, I apologize for not being fully present the whole show. I had a friend drop by for a visit. No problem, Robert. We're appreciative of you guys being here. Yes, we are. We're here every Friday night. So guys, make sure just put it on your calendar. That way you can show up here. Scott and I come here to serve. So yeah, my final thoughts, I completely obviously echo what Nick is saying about the fact that there's got to be that self-actualization to say, listen, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And today that shit stops, right? Anybody can do it. I've seen people do it. We've seen it with 75 Hard. I've seen people quit smoking. One of the guys in 75 Hard quit smoking and he's doing it. And it's like, I said, what did you do? He goes, I just decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. And he just did it. And he just, it's not easy. He's like grinding his teeth and he's chewing gum. He's day 25 right now. He's like, man, I almost had a moment yesterday, but I remember why I'm doing this. And he remembered his why. And that's what we encourage for each and every one of you guys. If you don't know what your why is, if you don't wake up and know what your why is and what you're going towards each and every day, then where are you going? Are you hoping, wishing, and praying that someday you're going to arrive somewhere where you're going to be happy finally? Are you still, like Scott was just saying, the external value? Are you looking for all that validation, everything else outside of you? The biggest thing you can do is start with self-love, self-care, pour into your own bucket, get around the people who are going to help pour into you and make you guys even that much more unstoppable. Scott and I are always here for you guys. We love you. We love you. Go have an amazing weekend, and we will see you next time here on The Unfiltered Experience. We love you. Make sure you go to www.theunfilteredexperience.com, www.theunfilteredexperience.com. Join the family. We are the Unfiltered crew, and we love you guys. Peace out. Cheers, and connect with Nick. We love you guys.